So in open na security, what does open actually mean? No? And open, it's does not necessarily mean open source, no, or free. No? The open part here really is, as discussed with other courses, is for interoperability. No? It's, yeah, again, the intentional capability of the software, hardware, and or interfaces to comply on agreed upon standards. No? So we would be most likely using open source software, but again, it does not necessarily mean that it could be only open source. For vendors, no, of various components or even end to end, no, if they would claim that they are open run compliant and they have all the parts. They may use open source and they would likely be using open source, no, but their proprietary code could also be incorporated there, no, which, well, would mean closed source. We all also might be discussing open source hardware. Okay. And for open source hardware, um, yeah, some designs, architecture might be open source by various vendor, no, but this does not necessarily mean that if you design and create a component for Open RAN, you are required to do open source, no, unless you are basing your design from an open source hardware. But yeah, mainly it's really open interfaces, no, where we are referring when we say Open RAN. So as mentioned, ORAN Alliance, open is for interoperability, not necessarily meaning open source. And for ORAN security, we have various uh, subsets, no, like threat modeling and remediation analysis. This is the most mature since a lot of this is also based on 3GPP standard. Um, there are requirement specification. It is already mature, but there are still work being incorporated in the requirement specification. For protocol specification, like they're focusing basically on known secure protocols, no? Like TLS, DTLS, SSH, and IPsec. So you won't be seeing any telnets here. Everything should already be on SSH, no? Secure shell. And then for component-to-component communication, you are required to do TLS, even if it's within the same subnet. Since there's a discussion on zero trust, even if you are now on supposedly an isolated network, you're processing various API calls, uh, you typically would not want to trust, no, that your data being transmitted to another component in Open RAN is gonna get sniffed. No? So hence you need to protect all of this information per component. Okay. Then we have test specification. It's in progress. We'll have some discussions on this. But a lot of this also is stemming from 3GPP. So current state, again, and security challenges. For O1, A1, any other 3GPP related interfaces and open fronthaul interface and open fronthaul CS plane, no? They are already available. Um, For the others, no, yung mga E2, O2, XR apps, OSC softwares, while it says here that they are supposed to be released, no, in 2021, there is already something. It's still being updated as I speak. And then, of course, yung secure physical assets, this a lot of them are basing on ISO 27001, no, to protect um, yung mga physical deployments like cell sites and data centers. No? And well, they are basically passing the buck for this dun sa sa operators. Okay. Then with that intro, no, basically we're saying here that yeah, open RAN deployments are somehow, no, less secure to a degree, no, than traditional single vendor deployment approach, for the reason that, diba, there are various groups developing various components, and even if you're able to interact, no, with all of these components and working seamless, no, We all know that developing systems, even if it's a single vendor deployment, I'm just not singling out multi-vendor deployment. Um, there are components that might not be needed, that is introduced, no? Maybe some test codes, some debug systems that weren't taken out into production, no? And this basically is amplified with the number of vendors that you are now operating on. And there is ORAN, Alliance Security Task Group, that well engage with the working groups, no, to tackle security challenges on all Open RAN interfaces.